Lots to do today. Let's start with the Red Sox because the Red Sox have had this path now that we have discussed a long time as far as their ineptitude against the American League East. And nothing better exemplified that than Friday night when Toronto scored 28 runs, turned around and won the next 2 days too. You know, sometimes, when you score 28 one day, and this is a horrendous play by the center fielder Duran, he doesn't even run after the ball. Boy, he wouldn't be playing the next half hour, imagine. I'll tell you that. That lack of hustle and that inactivity, I'm not standing for. But the Red Sox are going bad because after you give up 28 runs on one day, sometimes you come back and win the next 2 games to win a series. That was not the case for the Red Sox, who folded badly on Saturday and Sunday, and of course against the American League East in this stretch of games have been basically absolutely brutal. They can't beat Tampa. They can't beat Toronto. They have lost 5 out of 6 to them in this stretch. They can't beat Tampa. They've lost 6 out of 7 of that. The Yankees, of course, have beaten them 4 out of 6. They have been just awful in the division, awful in this period of time, and find themselves maybe in the cellar category as far as the American League is concerned come deadline on August 2nd. 48-48. We all know their pitching is a mess. Sale's out. They can't get themselves together. If anybody thinks that we're being too harsh on the Red Sox, all you got to look at is their record against the American League East. What are they? 13-29. I can have Lee look it up if you care, but you get the idea. They've been so bad against the Orioles too. They have not won a series against the American League East opponents this year. Not a series. They split with the Yankees. Not a series they have not won. That is how pathetic they have been. A disaster on Friday night. 28 runs, and then have come back. You come back the next 2 days and lose there. I know the record says 48-48. They're only 3-4 back on the wild card, so you never know. But does anybody feel good about the Boston Red Sox right now in the American League East? If I was Bloom, I'd punt for next year. I don't think you're going to add any players. I don't think you're going to see anything that is that innovative as far as improving the ball club as far as next week goes. Without Sale, their pitching is atrocious. They can't get a well-pitched game. Maybe out of the division they'll play a little better. But what a disaster by Boston over the weekend. They were bad last week. The Yankees destroyed them last weekend with those 2 blowouts the last 2 games at Yankee Stadium. They start off the All-Star break second half and they get destroyed 28-5. What a disgrace. Boston pretty much done in the American League East. We start there on this busy program. The other thing that is interesting right now, well, the Astros, of course, basically showed Seattle what it's all about. Beat the Mariners 3 straight games. And I've been on this team a lot, so I'll stay on it. Robbie Ray, for the money they're paying him and the fact that he won a Cy Young, he's got to pitch a better ball game than he did yesterday. He was awful down a stretch last year for Toronto against the Yankees. That was the reason why I wouldn't have given him the award, although I had nobody else to give the Cy Young award to in the American League. And then yesterday, in a game they need in the worst way, just to get themselves back in equilibrium, stop the 3-game losing streak, he gets buried by the Astros and right out of the gate. That's a very, very poor performance. They're paying him a fortune to keep his team in a ball game like that. It's the biggest game he's pitched this year, and it was a bad deal there. And Houston, of course, destroyed them 3 games over the weekend. What a job by Verlander on Saturday afternoon when he went 7 great innings and emptied the tank in the bottom of the 7th with the bases loaded for a strikeout. What a job he is. If he doesn't win the American League Cy Young, I don't know how you don't give it to him. He has been so good. The guy is he's ageless. He's got a new arm with the Tommy John. And Houston right now is a team that they're going to obviously win the division. That's a team that's going to be no worse than a 2 seed. And now the Yankees got to concern themselves a little bit as far as the home field is concerned in the American League. They're only a game ahead of them, and the Yankees will need that Game 7 in their building. That's all there is to it. The Yankees, to beat Houston in a postseason series, are going to need to start at home and end at home. And right now, they're only a game up on the Astros in that American League chase for the best record. And the Astros play in an easier division than the Yankees do. What a job Houston did over the weekend. I can't say enough about Verlander. I'd like to see Carlos Santana take a strike 2-0 in the 9th inning down by 2 runs instead of swinging when they need a base runner. That makes, the lost art of, smart, fundamental baseball sometimes. I wonder, how do you swing there, Carlos? Really? Take a strike. Come on. Bottom of the 9th on Saturday afternoon. Anyway, make a long story short, great job by Houston. Yankees did a good job, too. They need to win the game there on Sunday afternoon. They did. Big injury with Michael King, though. That's going to hurt them. Fractured elbow. He had been great, him and Holmes in that back end of that bullpen. I would be very, very concerned about how the Yankees going to handle that. Obviously, Chapman, you can't trust him in a big spot. Cole, he's a little overrated. Cole, can be very, very good when he's on his game, but he gives you a lot of 7 innings, 3 runs, 6 innings, 3 runs. The other night he couldn't hold down that advantage against the Orioles, had to be bailed by their bullpen. I'd be a little concerned about him a little bit. And the Yankees have a couple of little warts right now. Yes, Cortez was good yesterday, but, the Yankees haven't been quite as good recently. We shall see. I like the idea that they have played hard, and Judge played a lot of games since the All-Star break. He's making a run. Not yet. It's too early yet, but he's at least in a conversation with Maris. And the Yankees will realize they're going to have to push a pedal to the metal at the end of the year to get that best record. We keep an eye on them. And Houston in the American League. Dodgers, of course, had a big weekend, too. 4 straight over San Francisco. Dodgers right now have a better record than the Yankees do. And, of course, home field would be a factor there at the end of the day. That home field between Houston, L.A. and the Yankees, I know it sounds silly to bring it up, but I think that is a significant scenario. I mean, the Yankees and Astros are so much better than any other team in the American League. They, I know baseball is unpredictable and you never know, but, I mean, do you think it's not going to be Houston and the Yankees in the ALCS and then home field could be the determining factor? The Dodgers will have work to do because they're going to have to beat out the Mets, beat the Mets in a series, and obviously they will have home field in that series. They'd be the 1 seed. But, I mean, the Dodgers, if they ever get DeGrom on the mound, DeGrom and Scherzer could be tricky for L.A. The Dodger pitching, too. Maybe they get Castillo. Buehler, of course, at the end of the year coming back. We shall see. But a 4-game sweep over San Francisco in the NL West this weekend. They, blew some leads but got a lot of big hits. Grand slams, Bellinger, big home run, Betts. Won 2 games there in the 8th inning. Came back yesterday, won again. San Francisco's in huge trouble now. Phillies had a bad weekend as well. The Giants, if you look at Atlanta and the Mets, they're going to be in the playoffs. Dodgers are going to be in the playoffs. The winner of the NL Central is going to be in the playoffs. That's 4. And probably San Diego is 5. So that leaves you the 1 spot between St. Louis, Philadelphia, and San Francisco. Maybe Milwaukee as far as the extra position is concerned in the NL wild card scenario, so keep that in mind. It's only 2 games, just like I wasn't going to kill the Phillies for having 10 unvaccinated players when they went to Toronto, but St. Louis needs every player on their team to be active and raring to go. Arenado's making $258 million. Goldschmidt's making $150 and beyond million. Not vaccinated, which means they don't play the 2-game series in Toronto. If they don't win and that's going to be a tight race. If they don't win the division or miss the playoffs by a game, I'm going to go back to that at the end of the year if they lose these 2 games. Remember, Toronto beat Philadelphia in a couple of games 2 weeks ago when Philly was unvaccinated. And now, of course, I think they won both games. Maybe they split them. But still, from that standpoint, I think that hurt Philadelphia, and maybe it hurts St. Louis when you're playing for making that kind of money for a professional organization, and you got games in Canada. Take the vaccination shots. We killed Irving. We got to Kyrie. We got to say something about the players not taking the shots too. But right now, it's St. Louis, it's San Francisco, and it's Philadelphia for the last spot. Dodgers are playing great. Dodgers and Mets, of course, we know with Atlanta. But I think the interesting aspect of baseball right now is the Red Sox have collapsed. And the Yankees and the Astros are by far and away the 2 best teams in the American League. And that hopefully we'll get it because you never know in this sport, the unpredictability of it, the bounce of the ball. But Astros-Yankees will be an absolute classic in mid-October. A classic if we get the 7 games. And then maybe Dodgers and Mets on the other side.